Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. 20 minutes later, Miranda slid onto a leather bar stool at Maxwell's Tavern, a bustling night spot downtown. The atmosphere buzzed with laughter, clinking glasses, and smooth jazz. Miranda ordered a French martini from the bartender, savoring the novelty of the feminine cocktail. "Haven't seen you around here before," the bartender commented, eyeing Miranda appreciatively as he mixed her drink. "My name's Dylan." "Miranda," she returned, holding his gaze. A smile curled her lips, relishing this harmless flirtation. Dylan slid the martini toward her with a playful toast. As Miranda lifted the glass, she caught sight of herself in the mirrored wall behind the bar. With the alcohol warming her blood and buoying her confidence, she regarded her reflection with new eyes. The wig framed her face in glossy waves, its rich auburn shade dramatic against her fair complexion. Expertly sculpted makeup accentuated her cheekbones, softened her jawline, made her eyes appear wider, brighter. From the neck up, at least, she truly was a stranger. "You clean up nicely," Miranda thought wryly. She took a slow sip, savoring the tart citrus flavor. Dylan moved down the bar to take new orders, but his gaze kept straying back to her. Miranda basked in the attention. "Is this seat taken?" Miranda swiveled to see a well-dressed man gesturing to the empty stool beside her. He looked to be in his 30s, with warm brown eyes and a friendly smile. "It's all yours," Miranda replied. As he settled onto the seat, Miranda was acutely aware of their knees nearly touching. The man extended his hand. "I'm Jake." "Miranda." She shook his hand, hoping her grip conveyed feminine softness. His hold was pleasantly firm without being overbearing. Jake flagged down Dylan to order a whiskey, neat. Turning his attention back to Miranda, he gave her an appreciative sweep. "That color looks beautiful on you. Really makes your hair and eyes stand out." Miranda lowered her gaze demurely. "Why, thank you," she said, marveling at how easily the coy mannerisms came. "I'm flattered you noticed. Hard not to notice a woman as stunning as you." Jake's tone was smooth yet sincere. "Especially with so few other redheads around. You're a rare gem." Warmth bloomed in Miranda's chest at the compliments. She took a slow, thoughtful sip of her drink, letting the flavor roll over her tongue. "You certainly know how to make a girl feel special," she said finally. Jake laughed. "What can I say? I believe in speaking the truth." He raised his glass toward her. "To your radiance." Miranda tingled under his admiring gaze. She had expected to feel foolish, garish in this absurd disguise, but Jake's earnest flattery made her feel anything but absurd. On the contrary, she felt elegant, captivating, desired. It was at once thrilling and unsettling. As the evening wore on, Miranda found herself opening up to Jake in a way she never would have as Randy. She shared lighthearted stories from her college days, stories from Jessica's actual past, which Miranda could recall easily. Jake hung on her every word, interjecting with jokes and thoughtful questions. When Miranda finally begged off for the night, Jake helped her into her coat and insisted on walking her to her car. The night had turned brisk, and Miranda shivered as Jake placed his jacket around her bare shoulders. She caught a trace of his cologne, clean, masculine. At her car, Jake took her hand and asked hopefully, "Any chance I could see you again sometime, Miranda?" Miranda hesitated. Her conscience nagged that she should end this charade here and now before it went any further. But the way Jake looked at her with such sincerity, such interest, she couldn't bring herself to turn him away. "I'd like that," Miranda said softly. Miranda awoke the next morning feeling conflicted. The memory of Jake's warm gaze and charming flattery still made her heart flutter. For a few hours last night, she had felt truly seen, appreciated, desired, not just as a woman, but as a person. Yet those tender moments were shadowed by the doubts and suspicions Miranda had observed at Amy's party. While Miranda couldn't yet condemn Amy as a cheater, she had definitely witnessed flirtatious behavior that crossed professional lines. Miranda sighed, the exhilaration of last night already fading. As tempting as it was to lose herself in this temporary identity, in the end she was still Randy, here to help his oldest friend. After showering away the lingering traces of makeup, Miranda met Jessica for coffee. As they waited for their drinks, Jessica's eyes searched Miranda's. "Well, did you see anything suspicious with Amy and the clients?" Miranda took a bracing sip of black coffee before launching into an account of the previous night's events. She described Amy's interactions, friendly yet professional, until the arrival of the handsome stranger named Rob. Jessica's expression darkened as Miranda recounted the intimate touches and flirtatious banter she had witnessed between Amy and Rob, but she remained silent, absorbing it all. Maybe it was harmless fun, Miranda concluded gently, but it definitely seemed to cross a line given Rob wasn't a client or coworker. Jessica stared into her coffee, pensive. "I appreciate you telling me candidly what you saw," she said finally. "I know I'm asking a lot, having you spy on my own wife." Impulsively, Miranda reached across the table to clasp Jessica's hand. "I just want you to have the truth," she said earnestly. "Whatever that may be. If I can help ease your mind, I'll do whatever I can." Jessica managed a trembling smile. "You're a good friend, Randy. Even like this," she gestured at Miranda's masculine attire. "You'll always be Randy to me." They shared a poignant look. Then Jessica withdrew her hand, composed herself, and met Miranda's gaze directly. "I need you to keep watching Amy for me. Whatever this thing is with Rob, whether it's innocent or not, I need more information." Her voice dropped. "Can you do that, Miranda?" Miranda hesitated, even as that tiny rebellious part of herself thrilled at the prospect. "Are you sure?" Miranda asked gently. "We could just talk to Amy, tell her our concerns." "No," Jessica cut her off. "She'd just deny it or say I'm paranoid. Please, I need proof before I confront her." Miranda's conscience squirmed, but beneath her discomfort lurked undeniable curiosity and the memory of Jake's warm, admiring eyes. Slowly, reluctantly, Miranda nodded. Jessica exhaled in relief. "Thank you," she said fervently. "I know this isn't easy for you, but I swear it's the only way." Jessica reached again for Miranda's hand, grasping it tightly. Her friend's desperation pierced Miranda's heart. "I'll keep watching Amy," Miranda promised. "I'll get you the full truth." Jessica hugged her hard, blinking back tears. As Miranda returned the embrace, she silently vowed to handle this mission with as much care and discretion as possible. Amy deserved that much, at least. Over the next week, Miranda discreetly surveilled Amy. She tailed Amy during her lunch hour, noting each time she detoured to meet Rob at out-of-the-way cafes and restaurants. Their body language remained casually intimate, full of light touches and lingering looks. Miranda sat in her rental car down the street from the restaurant where Amy and Rob were currently having lunch. She watched them through a pair of compact binoculars as they laughed and chatted, their body language relaxed and familiar. Part of Miranda felt guilty for spying, but she'd made a promise to Jessica. And the more time she spent watching Amy, the less convinced Miranda became that anything untoward was happening between Amy and Rob. Their interactions seemed more akin to old friends catching up than illicit lovers. There was no furtive glancing around or sneaking off to secluded corners. Just easy conversation and comfort in each other's company. As Amy and Rob exited the restaurant, Miranda observed how Amy gave Rob a quick platonic hug before they parted ways. No passionate kisses or wandering hands. Miranda tailed Amy's car back to her office building and watched until she disappeared inside. With a thoughtful frown, Miranda headed off to compile her report for Jessica. Later that evening, Miranda met Jessica at a quiet bar for an update. As they nursed their drinks, Miranda recounted the recent surveillance results. "They definitely seem close," Miranda said, "but I'm just not getting a romantic vibe from them." Jessica's face fell. "So she's not cheating?" "I can't say for certain," Miranda replied gently, "but my gut feeling is no. They could just be old friends or colleagues catching up." Jessica stared into her wine glass, crestfallen. "God, I feel so stupid. Of course Amy wouldn't cheat. She's been nothing but devoted since the day we met." Miranda squeezed her arm reassuringly. "Don't beat yourself up. You were coming from a place of hurt and mistrust, but clearly Amy adores you." Jessica dabbed at her eyes, smudging her mascara. I've really made a mess of things, haven't I? Nothing that can't be fixed with communication, Miranda said. Just tell Amy your fears openly but lovingly. I'm sure she'll understand. Nodding, Jessica downed the rest of her wine. You're right. I need to go home and have an honest talk with my wife. She stood a bit unsteadily and grabbed her purse. Miranda caught Jessica's arm, gazing at her intently. It's going to be okay. Amy loves you. Jessica managed a watery smile. Thank you for everything. I'll let you know how it goes. After Jessica left, Miranda lingered at the bar, lost in thought. She truly hoped her friend would find peace of mind after coming clean to Amy. They clearly had a strong relationship worth fighting for. Witnessing their love firsthand these past weeks had awakened an ache inside Miranda. When she donned that wig and makeup, she became visible. Yet it was a hollow visibility, based on artifice. What she truly craved was to be seen and loved as her whole self. With a bittersweet pang, Miranda realized she missed Jake. He'd only known her as a fictional alter ego, but the way he'd looked at her, like she was the only woman in the room, she yearned to be regarded that way as her true self. If she ever saw Jake again, would he even recognize her like this? Or had it only been the costume that captivated him? Miranda sighed, shaking off the gloomy thoughts. She had done what she could for Jessica. Time to shed this undercover role for good. The next evening, Miranda was boxing up her surveillance gear when her phone rang. Jessica's name flashed on the screen. Hey, how did everything go with Amy? Miranda asked gently. Better than I could have imagined, Jessica replied, voice brimming with warmth. We talked for hours. I told her all my fears and insecurities. She listened patiently without judgment. Jessica's voice caught. And then she took my hands, looked me right in the eyes, and told me I'm the love of her life, that she's been faithful since the day we met and always will be. Miranda smiled. That's beautiful, Jessica. I'm so glad you worked things out. Me too, Jessica said softly. I've never felt closer to her than I do right now. Thank you again for everything you did, Randy. I mean that. They exchanged final well wishes before hanging up. Miranda sat holding the silent phone, contemplating. Hearing Jessica reaffirm her love for Amy had been bittersweet. Miranda was thrilled her friend's marriage was back on solid ground. But their reconciliation only underscored her own loneliness. She yearned for that kind of unwavering devotion in her own life. Maybe I need to put myself out there more, Miranda considered. Take more risks. Only by opening herself up could she hope to find the connection she craved. A couple of weeks went by. Miranda stood in front of the full-length mirror, barely recognizing her reflection. Gone were the baggy jeans and faded tee, replaced by a sleek black skirt that hugged her hips before flaring out above the knee. An off-the-shoulder top in rich burgundy complemented her auburn wig, its plunging neckline showing just a hint of cleavage. She turned this way and that, still growing accustomed to her altered silhouette. The 4-inch pumps elongated her legs and accentuated her slim ankles. She'd even gotten a professional manicure, her nails glossy and feminine. Not bad, Miranda, she murmured appreciatively. After a lifetime of blending in, she was ready to step into the spotlight. Her transformation had begun hours earlier in the tranquil setting of her bathroom. She'd taken her time pampering and grooming herself, preparing both body and mind for her new persona. Humming along to a pop playlist, Miranda had first showered, exfoliating away rough skin. After toweling off, she'd proceeded with the tedious yet satisfying process of shaving. She'd started by moisturizing her legs, taking care to get every patch of skin. Then came the razor, gliding smoothly from ankle to thigh. Again and again, she'd rinsed the blades, eliminating even the finest hairs, until her legs were smoother than polished marble. With her legs done, Miranda had propped one slender foot up on the tub ledge, carefully navigating the razor along her calf and shin. She repeated the process on the other leg, periodically running a hand along her skin to ensure uniform smoothness. Next, she'd tackled her underarms, contorting herself to get the proper angle. She took her time, gently sweeping away each hair. Goosebumps had prickled her bare skin as she'd finally rinsed away the last traces of shaving cream. After patting herself dry, Miranda had slathered her newly bare skin in a rich, hydrating lotion. As she'd massaged it in, she'd marveled at the satiny softness. She could have spent all day appreciatively caressing her own supple limbs. But there were still cosmetics to apply before her big night out, so Miranda had slipped on a silky robe and seated herself at her cluttered vanity. Time to turn her blank canvas of a face into a work of art. She'd started by applying primer, letting it soak in while she tidied her brows. Tiny, precise strokes had shaped them into perfect arches. Next came foundation blended flawlessly from hairline to collarbone. The full coverage formula smoothed away any hints of stubble or blemishes. With her canvas prepped, Miranda had reached for the eyeshadows. Vivid shimmers of violet, pink, and gold had soon adorned her lids, blended into an ethereal sunset. Liquid liner winged up her lash line, while 2 coats of mascara made her lashes luxuriantly full. Next, Miranda had sculpted her cheekbones with bronzer, making them appear naturally prominent below her expertly contoured nose and chin. A highlighter down the bridge of her nose and above her Cupid's bow gave her an angelic glow. Finally, Miranda had lined her lips and filled them in with a matte berry shade. Pressing her lips together had evenly distributed the color. The final touch was a spritz of setting spray to lock everything in place. Leaning back, Miranda had admired her handiwork, from plain blank face to stunning femme fatale, with makeup as her brush and palette. She'd felt an overwhelming surge of power in her transformation. Now, hours later, her makeup remained flawless as she appraised herself in the full-length mirror. The wig fell in soft waves, the chunky heels boosted her height, cinching the belt accentuated her slim waist. Miranda gave an experimental twirl, watching the skirt flare out. She felt knicker, yet classy, confident, yet approachable. This stylish ensemble reflected her truest self, her fullest potential. She couldn't wait to see how the outside world perceived her. The final touch was a spritz of perfume on each wrist and behind both ears. The complex blend of jasmine, vanilla, and sandalwood enveloped her in an invisible aura of allure. Miranda transferred the essentials into a sleek clutch: phone, cash, lipstick for touch-ups. With a deep breath, she headed for the door. It was time for her debut. The Uber pulled up outside Maxwell's Tavern, lively even on a Thursday night. Miranda stepped onto the curb, momentarily dazed by the crowd and neon lights. Her phone chimed. The Uber was waiting for confirmation she'd arrived safely. Heart-pounding, Miranda smoothed her skirt and confirmed the ride. This was really happening. She drew herself up tall, channeled her nerves into confidence, and strode toward the tavern entrance. The bartender was different than her last visit. No familiar faces jumped out. She wondered if she'd see Jake again, then admonished herself for fixating on one guy. She was here to meet new people. Weaving through the crowds, Miranda claimed one of the few open seats at the bar. The bartender flashed her a dimpled grin as she settled atop the vinyl stool. "What can I get you, beautiful?" Miranda ordered a French martini, thrilling at being called beautiful so effortlessly. As the bartender moved off to prepare her drink, Miranda swiveled to survey the scene. Groups of glamorous young women danced and posed for selfies on the crowded dance floor. They seemed so vibrant and carefree. Miranda envied their obvious comfort in their feminine forms. Someday she hoped to move with such ease. For now, she was content simply to observe and learn. She noted the casual way the women touched, hands grazing backs and hips wordlessly guiding each other into photos. Miranda unconsciously crossed her legs, ankle darting out in a delicate point. "Here's your drink, gorgeous." The bartender set down her frothy cocktail with a playful wink. Miranda smiled back, warming to the casual flirtation. She took a slow sip, letting the sweet citrus flavor roll over her tongue. The alcohol kindled a glow inside her. As Miranda nursed her drink, she became aware of someone settling onto the stool beside her. She glanced over to see a handsome man with tousled brown hair flagging down the bartender. He looked vaguely familiar. "Jake?" Miranda ventured. The man turned, eyebrows lifting in surprise. "Have we met?" "Briefly," Miranda replied, pulse quickening. "A couple weeks ago, I was wearing a red dress." Jake's eyes lit up in recognition. "Of course. Forgive me, I'm terrible with faces." He extended his hand. "But I definitely remember you now, Miranda," she supplied, shaking his hand. His grip was pleasantly firm and lingering. "Miranda, right." Jake flashed a dazzling smile. "I knew I couldn't forget a woman as captivating as you." Miranda flushed, absurdly pleased he remembered their conversation. She tilted her glass coyly. "Looks like fate brought us back together." "Clearly a sign I should buy you a refill." Jake smoothly caught the bartender's attention. "Another of what the lady's having on me." Thanks for watching. Check out Patreon if you want to have early access to the other parts. If not, it will be online in a couple of days.